breaking records, goals in sight. Hockey greatness, what a night. Vlad's got his reasons, 500 mil strong, locked as a J where he belongs. We're terrible poets, but we don't care. 300 pounds of sound, filling the air. Chevy and nasty, the ride's a blast. Hold on tight, cause it goes by fast. Augusta's calling, food so cheap. Producer Trey breaks it down, let's eat. Studs and duds, Canadians proud. 300-pound poetry, shout it loud. We're terrible poets, but we don't care. 300 pounds of sound, fill in the air. Chevy and nasty, the ride's a blast. Hold on tight, cause it goes by fast. Bill's car now, boom so chic. To which the train brings it down, let's beat. The studs and dugs, Canadians plowing through letter pound, boy, take shallow now. So here's to the night, the sounds we make. 300 pounds of poetry, for goodness sake.
Welcome to The Ride with Chevy and Nasty. Host Randy Chevrier and Sheldon Napastia guide you through great stories that spark great conversations. Two really big guys talking a big game. The boys are locked in and ready to go. Welcome to The Ride.
Welcome, everyone. And we all made it. We made it to number 70. And Chev, that was my first time hearing that. What the heck was that? I don't remember going into the recording studio. I'm pretty sure there's a little touch of AI going on there. But what was that?
That was our 300-pound rap. That was, a little 300-pound poetry based on the poem we're going to give the masses tonight. And yes, you're correct. A little bit of AI. In the podcast business, when we started getting this going and I started doing research, a lot of AI was being used, just different programs. But as AI has evolved, even in the last year, there have been some awesome things. So yeah, just figured we'd run our poem through an AI song generator and see what could come up. And that's what we got. So I think we're going to stick with it. If you guys liked it, we're probably going to play it at the end of the song or at the end of the show. A lot of people, we don't have our usual suspects here. So if you guys are here, stick around to the end of the show because we're going to play our 300-pound rap for Tuesday, April the 8th. And as you mentioned, it is our 70th show. We're brought to you each week by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. And also, yes, new logo. We're trying something out. We're having fun trying to make this podcast, this show, as good and as cool as it can be on a shoestring budget. This week, we hired the AI rapper. They got us a nifty tune, and but we're not AI. Everything that we are is natural, unscripted, unprofessional, and unretouched. Except for Sheldon's looking pretty jacked. He's been in the gym the last few weeks. I can see a change. You're slimming down here, my friend. I can see it.
It doesn't take much. I'm just trying to keep up with you, though, Chev. I got tired of being, the good-looking, chubby guy on the show, right?
No, I don't. I would never say that about you. You're the good-looking, taller guy. That's how I described you. But it is episode number 70, and we had to dig deep. I looked at all sports, and I didn't find too many 70s. We got a couple there. Who is that? Laterio Rochelle.
Rochelle, yeah.
Rochelle, slot back for the Stamps. So Vince Goldsmith, Saskatchewan, Rodman.
That's the one I added because growing up, number 70 was probably my second favorite defensive lineman behind Bobby Jerson, who wore 71 because he was one better.
Okay.
But
Who's the 70 there in the I don't know, in the Dallas Cowboys number 70? It's not me. It's not Orlando Pace. Maybe Trey can correct us in the errors and omission. Don't put it out just yet. Maybe someone else can guess, Trey, because we know you're great at this. But a couple Stampeders ones, a name you might be familiar with, Raymond Biggs. Maybe not. He lives in Calgary, former Stampeder, played 2 years, defensive back. He coaches with the Calgary Cowboys, and his son Biggs, Raymond Biggs Jr., I believe it is. He's a pretty good local athlete. But one name that's familiar to me on this list, and there's not a lot of them because Trey pulled out Laterio Rochelle from 2003. Did you play with him? Did you play with Laterio?
I think I did, but I can't remember much about him. I don't know if he made it the season or not, but that's what I remember. I think it was Rochelle, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, I remember the name. I don't remember much about him. But.
Yeah. The longest tenured one was Jim Furlong, played in 62 to 73. So 12 years as an outside linebacker from Winnipeg, played at Tulsa, Oklahoma. He had to have been pretty good to have played 12 years, won a Grey Cup with the Stamps and lost one. But the one that I remember, 7 years from 75 to 81, Bob Vickers. And Bobby Vickers was a mainstay with the Stamps, especially when we came back. And he was part of the new ownership group that basically rescued the Stampeders from Federic. Was it Kevin Federic? Or that was the son's name.
That was his son.
Mr. Federic. Mr. Federic and Fred Federic. So when that bombed, and you were part of that season, when the new ownership came in, and there was Frazani, John Frazani, and all those guys, Ted Heller. But Bob Vickers was the guy that kind of was part of that group, and I believe Bob Vickers was John Huffnagel's best friend, and I think he was instrumental in, prying John Huffnagel away from the NFL, especially after that year he got fired after the Giants, and he was kind of waiting around. I think they did some convincing, and a few Grey Cups later, they helped build a really great organization that now is run primarily by the Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation. But if it wasn't for those bridge years where that local ownership came in, turned the team profitable, brought in the right people, I don't think we'd be in a situation now where, the Stamps are run by, the local sports entertainment company. They got some good people in there. You talk about Jay McNeil running the show, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the initiatives they got. But yeah, so those are famous number 70s. And for those of you that were here at the beginning of the show, you might have heard a little rap based on our 300-pound poetry. You'll hear it again at the end of the show. But these are the original verse for our 300-pound poetry. Trey, take it away.
And now, 300-pound poetry with Chevy and Nasty.
It's Tuesday night, time for loud sounds. We are terrible poets, but we are 300 pounds.
Ovi passed the great one with goal 894 and 895. Witnessing hockey greatness. It's a great time to be alive.
500 million reasons Vlad Guerrero Jr. was given to stay. For 14 more years, he is locked up as a J.
It's a little bit of cheese. At the Masters in Augusta, the food prices can't be beat. Producer Trey breaks down the menu a little later and tells what's good to eat.
We got studs and duds, our great Canadians too. And this 300-pound poetry, our show is full for you.
Because we are Chevy and Nasty. The ride is our cast. Hold on tight, because this one's going to go by fast.
There you go. Good poem. Chev, I screwed up one of your lines there. I don't think the way I read that last one made any sense, but
you know what? It did.
Good poem, buddy.
It did to me.
It did. So you just put that into the AI, and the AI spits out the verse and the and the voices and all that stuff.
Yeah. So this is this app that I found is courtesy of our good friend Daryl McAvina, he sent me a song. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say this, but he sent me the app. And I write a lot of poems. I write the 300-pound poetry, but I do a lot of serious poems, and some of the serious poems I write for my girlfriend, and I do some other stuff. So I decided to put one through this song app and turn it into a country song, and it turned out awesome. And I know that AI, but we're not selling our music. I'm not competing against Morgan Wallen and all that. I wrote my own little poetry. I spit it in, and the one that I did turned out really good. And I was like, oh man, we got to do something for the 300-pound poetry. So I threw one of those in, and it came out like a sublime. The first one I did based on our poem of last week. And I sent that to Trey, and he was like, oh my God, we got to do this. I'm like, are you sure? He's, yeah, let's do it. And so immediately upon writing the poem today, spit it through the song generator, selected rap, selected a male voice, wrote a couple of cues as for how I would want it to sound, a little bit like 90s fun hip hop, and boom, that's what we got. So again, if you didn't hear this, you guys got to tune in to the end of the show, and we'll play it on the way out. It was actually pretty fun. And, great job, Trey, on the logo. I love that logo. I think that makes a wicked t-shirt. And one day when we're going to get a little bit of sponsorship, maybe we'll make some ride t-shirts. And the other thing is, great job on the countdown tonight. The little neon.
Yeah.
That was sweet. I was like, man, we are in the big time now. We're in the
we are. Well, go ahead.
No, continue. Go.
We are in the world of AI. So AI can help us do anything. I'm doing countless things, even with my business, just to help and pick up the slack or generate ideas or plans. But a few things happening this week that do not involve AI, Chev. First off, I see it right there. I'm very worried about Trey having a cooking segment. I'm a little bit worried too, because I promise you that Trey is not cooking with AI. That is something that he's doing himself. I have not seen what he's prepared for us, but we're going to get a look at that tonight. But you want to just jump into the into the big story of the week, the Great Eight?
Well, we talked about it last week, right? We kind of warmed it up as Alexander Ovechkin was approaching Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record. We talked about a comparison between him and Sidney Crosby. But this show is going to be, well, not this show, but this segment is all about him. He broke this record, and him and Wayne Gretzky, right? But let's talk about that. Like, 894 goals, and there's a great clip on our Instagram and Facebook that you were talking last week about. Do you realize the magnitude of this? 894 and 895
is the goal that the record that you thought would never get broken, and I can't even think of an equivalent of that in other sports. Maybe Tom Brady and the 7 Super Bowls, right? But that one's so new. There's a bit of recency bias there. But that was a goal that you were sure for the past 30 years, 25, 30, whenever it was, 25, 30 years, that it could not be touched. It was absolutely amazing to see this. We knew a year or two ago that this could happen, but I didn't actually believe it. He had one season where he had 32 goals, and I'm like, okay, this is his decline. But he's come back with back-to-back 40-plus goal seasons. This was unbelievable that a guy his age could pull this off.
Yeah, no, he pulled it off this past weekend, and I believe the tying goal was done in Washington, and he could have been on the ice for an empty netter. And I guess some of the folks asked Kirk Muller out in Washington there, why didn't you put him on? And Ovi said he didn't want his tiebreaker to be an empty netter. So he wanted a legit goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. And, talking about the record is great. And, you see the celebration up in the picture there where he's sliding across the ice when he scored 895 in New York, and 2 different goals. Hey, one like down low in the slot, the game tire, takes a nice feed and just roofs it. And then the one in New York to break the record, I mean, that was a missile. That was a rocket. He was just below the blue line. And, you talk about Ovi. He's been in the league for 20 years. He came in, I believe, in 2020. I remember that World Juniors that he played. I believe,
You said 2020. What year?
Sorry, 2004. Excuse me, 2004. 2004 is when he came into the league. That's literally, when you and I started playing for the Stamps, or the year you started playing for the Stamps. And I remember watching him in the World Juniors prior to that. I believe he played in the same ones as Sidney Crosby. Would it have been the Olympics too, or just anyhow? But the progression of his career and what he's done, he's brought a Stanley Cup to Washington. When you talk about comparing him to Gretzky, he didn't have the same teams that Gretzky had, the same supporting cast. He's the guy that gets doubled every single night. He gets the team's hardest checking lines, and he still finds a ways to score. Probably the most prolific goal scorer of our time, if we can say that, and really good ambassador for the game. He's a guy, when you watch him play, you see him on the ice, he looks like he's having fun.
I think that's the thing that separates him, and that's what's allowed him to do this. It's almost like that, you think back to the old 80s movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Russian bad guys. The Russians just didn't care. They just went out and did what they did. And he kind of had that persona throughout his entire career. He wasn't trying to be Wayne Gretzky. He wasn't trying to be Sid the Kid. I just like to score goals, and his entire career, that's all he's done. So, for me, like, there's no doubt in my mind when I think back to the greats of the game, he's up on that list, but he's not at the pinnacle. Just because he broke Gretzky's goal record, to me, doesn't make him the greatest hockey player on the face of the earth. But I don't think anyone can take away from the fact that he's probably the most competitive goal scorer, prolific goal scorer that this game has ever seen. Is that enough for you, Chev? Like, what does that mean? If he's not going to be your first pick, maybe not even your first 3 picks for your all-time, all-legend, all-star team, what does this actually mean for Ovechkin and for Gretzky's legacy going forward? Like, how do you talk about these guys 10, 15 years from now?
Well, I mean, for Alexander Ovechkin, the fact that he broke this record, the fact that he's been so productive late into his career, and the fact that he also brought Washington a Stanley Cup, to me that means he's obviously a first ballot Hall of Fame guy, and he sits up there with the greats. We talked about it last week. Is he on my that Mount Rushmore, so to speak, of the greatest players of all time? I don't know. If I think about my generation that I watched, and we talked about it, Wayne Gretzky for sure, number one. Sid's going to be up there. When the dust settles on Connor McDavid's career, I'd like to see where he is. But yeah, Ovi's going to be up there. But, maybe not as the greatest hockey player of all time, but one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. We talk about Wayne Gretzky, and that was part of this story too, was, Wayne Gretzky kind of tagging along and being present for the record being broken. But you got to remember, Wayne Gretzky has about 12 records that haven't been touched, between most career points with 2,857, career goals just got surpassed, assists 1,963, like 100-point seasons with 15 goals,
50 career hat tricks. That's like 2/3 of a season. You're scoring 3 goals every night.
He's got
like, that is unreal.
950 goal seasons, but the one that I think will never be touched is 50 goals in 39 games. He was talking about that one, and that for him is his most special record. I don't, that would be a real tough task. And when he did it, I think back in the day, it might have been Trottier did 50 and 50, and Gretzky was on a radio station the other day just saying, he's like, that was a special goal for him. When he saw someone do 50 and 50 as a kid, he thought that was a big deal. And I had seen it when I was a Montreal fan with Stéphane Richer, if people recall. He did 50 and 50, but 50 and 39, that's a big deal. And he doesn't think that one's going to be broken. If one that's untouchable, it's that one. But, again, and one of the fun facts is if you removed all of Gretzky's goals, he would still be the NHL's all-time scoring leader just on assists.
Just for points leader.
Yeah. So that's how far ahead. So when I think of who the next one is, it's someone that can kind of compete with that kind of dominance. And as far as goal scoring, Ovechkin was that. But when I think of playmaking and I don't see Ovechkin so much as that. To me, Sidney Crosby leans more into that. Connor McDavid leads into that. Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
But to sustain the pace over time, that's why I say, for Connor McDavid, let's see how his career ends up. Evgeny Malkin, let's see how it ends up. Leon Draisaitl, I mean, these are some really awesome players, not being spoken of as the great ones, but depending on their longevity, you never know what happens. Like a few years ago, like you said, we didn't think Alex would touch this record, and here he is, right? So,
but part of that, part of that is because he's smart. So I heard this analogy, and I don't watch that many Capitals games, right? But I was listening to it talked about on the radio earlier today. You can watch him on the power play.
Yeah,
like he's a smart player. All he wants to do is score goals, and he's got a simple philosophy: if I score enough goals, we win. Right?
Yeah.
And that's and he's right to a certain extent. I've been hearing stories about him on the power play, just sitting there, just standing there in his office, waiting for the puck. Guys are skating around back and forth. If the puck gets cleared, he skates out, comes back in again. Line shifts, he still stays on the spot. He's all about just scoring goals, and he's got a different approach than I think. And that's why he's a little bit hard for me to place in terms of the greats. He's just got such a different approach than anybody I see from any sport. It's like it'd be like a wide receiver that can set a record because he's still scoring massive plays at the age of 38. That doesn't run routes. It doesn't even move on a run play. Can you imagine a receiver that just stood on the line? Hey, it's not coming to me, guys. I'm just going to hang out and just save it for when it counts.
No, for sure. And let's not forget, one of the other things that makes him so special. He's done it all with the same team. He's done it, and very few guys do that. Like right now, we're witnessing Sidney Crosby still with the Penguins, but a lot of these guys move on. No one ever would have thought they'd see Steven Stamkos move on from Tampa Bay. No one would ever thought Wayne Gretzky would leave the Oilers. But those things happen, and yet here we are. Alexander Ovechkin, I believe he's 39 years old. 39 years old, and he played 20 years with the same team. And at a high level. That's pretty impressive. But, when you talk about Gretzky, beyond his records, he took kind of a beating in the last few weeks, especially in light of all this political stuff. And I don't even want to talk politics, but, we know he took a kind of a beating because he appeared in pictures with Trump.
Just from morons, honestly.
Just from morons, yeah.
Idiots. People with a voice. I don't think very many real Canadians, but he did get tarnished in social media.
Yeah, he got tarred and feathered. And not justifiably so, but this week really showed the true class. And I caught a couple of interviews. He made sure that he was there no matter where or when Alex tied and broke his record. Like he wanted to make sure he did that. And it goes back to his days. He said when he broke Gordie Howe's record, both Gordie and his wife were there for him, and he wanted to carry on that tradition. Did
you see Janet crying in the stands?
Yeah,
it was an emotional moment for all of them, but you could tell you felt he was truly proud to pass that torch along.
Well, and he said and this is so great. Like a couple of things, he said that this felt like he felt in his last game of his career. Like it was just such a special moment for him that you wouldn't get that. Not everybody is so like we see NFL rushing records all the time. We talk about, you hear about the Miami Dolphins and their undefeated season. Every time that undefeated team loses, they get together and they have a party. And a couple of guys like, Eric Dickerson potentially showing up when running backs are about to break his record. But the whole time they're hoping that those guys don't break their records. Yeah. Here's a guy, probably because he has so many of them, but he's more than happy to pass that torch on. In fact, he said, when he broke Gordie Howe's record, Gordie's wife gave Janet a gift.
Yeah.
And so Janet did the same thing for Alex's wife. And that's super classy stuff that people don't know. And, when you listen to Wayne, anytime I listen to him in an interview, forget about all the crap that people are saying in the media about him. He just seems like a great guy. Who cares if he lives in the States? You know what? He said this. He said, I believe he has 7 grandchildren that are American, and they should be as proud of their flag as they are of their Canadian heritage.
100%.
And he tells them, he's like, You should be so proud because that's what your grandparents would want of you. And you should be proud of your Canadian roots because and that's a unique perspective because again, everything is us versus them. What happens when you have that blended family with so much scrutiny on it that has
most
kids
people aren't us versus them though, but that's a whole other topic. I just want to point out Cozy. Todd Kozak writes in, I was there live. So he was there when Gretzky took the record from Gordie Howe, which is kind of cool. And Jamin did point out, and this is an interesting little fact too. Ovi did it in the same number of games that it took Gretzky to set the original record. I think it's like 1,872, which I thought was just kind of like, what are the odds of that? Hey, that the same number of games. I thought it was kind of cool. Guys, we're going to take a quick break here though. So grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink. When we come back, a few more things. We've got opening act for the Stampeder Bowl. Want to get your thoughts on that. So all that and more, guys, right after this break.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Do you want your business to be known? YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Welcome back. We are The Ride with Chevy and Nasty, producer Trey in the back pushing the buttons. Sometimes the buttons get pushed. They go a little too loud, but that's okay. That's okay. We're having a great show. Trey's doing a great job. You see our nice logo. Where's our logo? I don't see the logo anymore, Trey. Get that nice logo you designed up there. There it is. And then Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. These are all our great sponsors. And you could find us every week at Chevy and Nasty is the address on Facebook, all the way down through X, all the socials, and we go audio podcast on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and then we also get our episodes up on YYC Business website. So check out all those platforms. Like, subscribe, please share. Especially, we work hard on those social media reels. Apparently, that's the way you get more people to follow you. So if you can share those reels, we would love it. Good evening, Rob Evans. And for those of you that are here, thank you for coming each week. Thank you for joining us live. And we hope that you take the opportunity to join us live on May 22nd for our men's mental health movie night, where we will have some great guest speakers. There you go. We have Brett Gardner. We have Ryan Huska scheduled thus far to join us. Chevy and Nasty, that's us, of course. And we're going to have lots of food, prizes, and of course, we're also going to have the movie of the week, and that is Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. We want to thank Performance Freight Management and the men's mental health movement, because this
and the Cochrane Movie House.
And the Cochrane Movie House. Yeah, our good friend Hal at the Cochrane Movie House making this happen. It was a great event last year. We filled the place with 100 men. People drove home from Cochrane thinking, man, what a great night. The feedback we got was tremendous. It was fun. We thought it was so good. We want to do it again.
Like it was fun. And it was, it was so well attended. We almost doubled the size this year, but there's already 50 seats gone. So we're down to, what does that leave us with? 130 left. So guys, this is filling up fast. So if you guys are in town for that day, make sure you come check it out. It's going to be a good time. Great speakers. So Ryan Husky is official now. Well, not quite official. I guess he's still got to not make the playoffs, but yeah, it's going to be a fun night, guys. Come on down and join us. It'll be great to see you guys, meet a lot of you guys in person for the first time. Oh, Chev, now your mic's completely out. So now you're going to just have to listen to me here for a second. But actually, you know what?
Just me and you.
I don't know. Is this a good time to pivot? We were going to get to that a little bit later in the second segment. We'll see if Chevy comes in here. But no, you're out. You're gone.
No, okay.
Folks, you're joining us for the 70th episode of the Trey and Nasty Show here on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever you catch your live podcasts. Trey, so I know, obviously you're at UFC, you're on the golf team, and you're big into actually, I don't know if we want to jump into that. I think we wait for Chev a little bit. Where do you want to take this, Trey?
I think he muted his mic here, so let me just text him and say that he muted his mic. And I guess we can continue on if you'd like. We can knock out the big news of the week for me. I won my March Madness pool. So that was
there
pretty.
You go.
We had a pretty good game between Florida and Houston last night, and there we go. Chevy, are you in yet?
Yeah, Chevy, say something.
Chev, is your mic working yet, buddy?
Nope.
Okay. So, anyways, yeah. So me and my buddies, we got together for a nice little pool, and last night the game was pretty close throughout halftime, and around 2 or 3 minutes into the second half, the Gators had 5 fouls in the first 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And went down and just knocked down all the free throws. And so I was like, okay, well, this game's over. So I turned on, I think there was an Oilers game on. There was, my buddies were watching the Flames game, whatever. And I flicked it back on with like 2 minutes left, and it was a 2-point game. I was like, oh, this is interesting now. And of course they go down and they take the lead, and there's like 20 seconds left, no timeouts, and Houston goes down to try and take a game-winning 3-pointer, and the guy goes up to shoot it, and he knows it's going to get blocked because the defender's coming in.
So
he drops the ball. He goes up and shoots it and just drops it, and they fumble around with it for the last 5 seconds, and it was a pretty anticlimactic finish. But I did get up and celebrate and shove it in my friends' faces a bit. So
well, and that's the fun thing about it, because I don't know if you have any allegiances to Florida. Like for me, outside of Iowa State, my alma mater, I don't really watch it that closely. But there's something I told you, I think last week, that I won the first bracket I was in just at Iowa State as a Canadian rookie that didn't know anything about March Madness. That is bragging rights. There was like, how big was the pool that you were in? Was there 1,000, 10,000?
Oh, no. Just with my buddies.
Buddy pool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing.
Not
crazy,
as big, but more personal.
More personal, more bragging rights for sure. And then if you look there in the second graphic, I was in the top 96.4% of brackets. So there was only, or I guess in the top 923,000. So out of the millions and millions and millions of brackets that get made, I think there's over 100 million.
Yeah.
So you won. You won.
I won.
He won the buddies pool, not the 100 million.
The buddies pool, but there was a couple of guys who did quite better than me. If you look at the rankings on some of the other pools, like I know there was somebody who missed the women's bracket by 1 game.
Yeah,
at 62 out of the 63 games, he missed 1 game, and it was an 8-9 game in the first round. Other than that, he nailed everything else.
But there were a few upsets in this one, right? Like nothing major. Like it kind of went the way they thought. They thought that the champion would come from the SEC. Is that correct? I think
yeah. They thought the SEC had 3 of the 4 number 1 seeds, and all the number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four. And so it was a bit of a lackluster year for sure. But you got a really good Final Four. The last the semifinal games and the final games were really, really, really good. So I mean, kind of sucks that there was no fun upset that everybody seems to get behind and root for, the random school in the Midwest. But still made for some entertaining basketball, I guess, when all the best teams play each other.
And a nice exciting finish between Florida and Houston. And yeah, congratulations to the Florida Gators. That's their first championship since 2007. Is that correct?
They've had 3 in the last 20 years, I believe. So they're one of the more successful basketball.
So they say that they say, I know they talk about like the Memorial Cup as being the toughest championship to win in sports, the junior hockey, Canadian junior hockey. But would you say that this is the hardest championship? Like, first of all, you got to get into it. You got to play in, and it's one game eliminations. Like in my mind, like just think about how impossible it is to predict a bracket. I mean, you couldn't predict the winner based on all the teams that start March Madness. So to me, that would make me think that this is the more impossible tournament to win. Would I be correct, or do you guys have a different opinion?
Well, you know, not only that, the pool that you're drawing from, like, sure, you have your top 10, top 20 teams that are in there year over year, another 10, 20 teams that turn over, but you're literally introducing teams that may have never played each other ever.
Mm-hmm.
And the turnover of the rosters and the coaching staffs and the styles can change so drastically from year to year. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get. Coming out of your conference, you know, you could have an amazing record, but you do not know where you rank up against all these other conferences. And the motivation for those teams that have those dream stories that come on, you know, 13th seed that comes on and beats the big guy and moves forward. I mean, there's just so much excitement. It's so random because they're just kids.
Yep.
I don't know if I would say it's the hardest tournament to win, though, because I still think winning 4 games 4 times in a hockey sort of bracket is a lot difficulter to do than just because you can still kind of fluke your way into a 1-game victory.
It's almost like define harder, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to have their own take on it, but for me, like, hockey's just a harder sport to play and win, and then having to win 16 games to win your trophy versus, I guess, Florida won like 7, a little bit different. At least that's what I think.
Yeah.
Well, Trey, since you're on, we'll talk about another one of your passions. The 89th Masters tournament is coming up this weekend at the Augusta National Golf Course in Georgia. So look, there's the logo and this year's contenders, again, as usual, all vying for the coveted green jacket, something that I assume, you being a golfer, this would be your dream come true to play on this course and compete for this. How big is this, Trey? Because you're the resident golf expert. Tell us a little bit about it and what to look for this year.
Yeah, I think the Masters is every person who's involved in golf, that's their dream. Like, obviously playing it is such a pipe dream that it's not even like an expectation anymore. But I still entered the lottery last year to get tickets to go. I mean,
yep.
You're never going to go if you don't try. So I assume that if I start now, maybe one day before I'm 80, I'll be able to go.
Yeah.
So it's a dream. I mean, watching the tournament, everything is so manicured and perfect to the single last piece of grass on the 18th hole. And so,
but they did say last year, speaking of perfect course, they did say last year that Hurricane Helen it took down some trees.
Yeah, the courses, you should have seen the course plays because they got ravaged by the hurricane last year.
Yeah. So speaking of play, who are the top contenders to look for this year? Like who, Scotty Scheffler won last year, right?
Yeah, he's won 2 of the last 3, and he's the #1 player in the world. So
okay.
So obviously he's the odds-on favorite. Rory, we talked about Rory McIlroy a couple weeks ago when he
stole
the phone after someone chirped him about his demons that he's had at Augusta before. So I think everybody will be kind of cheering for Rory.
We also talked about Colin Morikawa.
And he tripled down on his media stuff, saying he has no regrets and he doesn't know he just keeps hammering down that he doesn't know anybody anything. So definitely,
but he's still a top contender, right? Like
yeah, he's still a top 7 player in the world.
You know what? I don't want to poop on your parade because I get it. You love golf, and this is the Masters. And I'm sure you're booking off, calling in sick to work and not going to be attending too many classes. But you caught my attention early on. What was that? Chevy said something about like the food there is cheap, and I'm assuming they've got an amazing menu. What's this thing about cheap food at the Masters
so the people who started the Masters, I guess, always wanted the vision to have cheap food for the fans, and
that's Costco. That's Costco cheap.
The tickets are fairly cheap too once you hit the lottery, so it's pretty inexpensive once you're inside the ropes. But I mean, it's just so historic. I mean, there's nothing special about an egg salad sandwich or a pimento cheese sandwich that I'll show you guys later in my attempt at them. But
see. Hold on there. I see a club sandwich for $3. That's
Costco.
Yeah, no, that's
Costco
better than Costco. Costco's only good for the hot dog. The minute you get fries, you're looking at $5.99. So let's see what they got for fries here. Do they have fries here?
No fries. No, everything's sandwiches.
What about poutine? They got poutine?
Oh,
I know if Rubio's here, he might not be listening because he's traveling all over the world right now. But if Rubio's here, they should have poutine at the Masters. Like, it's a shame that they don't.
In Georgia? Is it really that crazy?
Yeah. Southern.
Yeah,
poutine.
but they do have like, here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that popcorn right now. Between the Georgia pecan caramel popcorn, but the Georgia peach ice cream sandwich.
Oh my god!
Because that's the one thing about their love of peaches. And even if you go to like Chick-fil-A,
yeah,
a lot of the milkshakes, a lot of the things you get involve peaches, and that's just something we don't get a lot of peaches up here. You know what we had growing up here in Saskatchewan? Plums, but a plum cannot compare to a peach.
Saskatoon berries, maybe.
Oh well, listen, nothing compares to that. But
but so I leave the question to you guys there. If you were lucky enough to hit the lottery and you walked into Augusta National with $10, what are you after?
You go first, Sheldon.
With $10, okay. First thing, I got to start with a breakfast, so I'm just gonna get their breakfast sandwich. I'd love to, because it's gonna be something that's actually like fried in grease and cooked to perfection with the perfect seasonings. I'm getting a breakfast sandwich to start it off. Can I afford a coffee?
Oh yeah,
they don't list coffee there, but I'm probably
they do. They do.
Oh,
it's on their breakfast.
Oh yeah, that gets me to 5.
So you're at 5.
I can pull this off. Okay, and then for lunch, I'm gonna get I got to try the Masters Club. It's between that and the pork barbecue, but I think I'm gonna go the Masters Club just because there's a little more layers and everything to it. I'm gonna skip the drink. I'm gonna sneak some bottled water in there, or a little flask or something for myself, because now I'm at 8. Yeah. And then I'm looking at that the Georgia pecan caramel popcorn. Well, I'm just walking around or following a foursome. I think that's legitimate, and a 50-cent tip for whoever's serving me.
They don't accept tips there, actually, so you can keep the
perfect.
There you go.
I think if I'm doing it, I think I might have to skip breakfast. I'll skip breakfast because there's some good stuff on. I'm gonna hit that. I like club sandwiches, but you know what? I'm going to go for the pork barbecue. I'm going to keep it Southern. I'm going to do the pork barbecue with the Southern cheese straws. I don't even know what that is, but that sounds phenomenal.
It's new for this year.
Yeah. So I'm on the snacks, and I'm in with Sheldon. I'm going to sneak in a water. Because I want to save my money for so yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I love popcorn. So the Georgia peach caramel popcorn, I'll take 2 orders of that. Because I love popcorn that much. And what is that with fresh? No, I don't want fruit. Who wants fruit? You know what? I'm going to finish it off with a chicken biscuit. Why not a chicken biscuit? That's so Southern. So I got everything, because everything else I feel like I could get somewhere else. But that's a great spread. You know what? We need to do road trips places where the food's cheap, and that's a place where I would go. Yeah, Jamin asks, are the tariffs on those import beers? Well, Trey, you did say that you had some stuff cooked up for us tonight, and your mom was listening earlier. I don't know if she still is. She said she's a little worried. So show us what you got. I want to know what you got and what you're making in honor of this year's
Masters. Give me a minute. I'll throw this one up for you guys, and I'll just go grab it. Give me 2 minutes, and I'll get it for you.
Okay. Yeah, so while Trey goes to get his sandwiches, the other big news, Sheldon, it broke last week, sort of in the middle of the night, so it didn't make the headlines until the next morning, but Vlad Guerrero Jr., 14 years, $500 million to remain a Blue Jay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and that's something else. And that's, I think, for a lot of people following this, and the way they kind of mishandled it. I mean, they could have signed him for a lot less earlier. After the two big deals were signed earlier this year, there's some question on whether they could get him back. In fact, I think Vegas odds were against signing him.
Yep.
But I mean, we're getting into such mind-blowing numbers at 500 million. And I guess my question to you is that almost feel like a hometown discount? Like, what would get you, knowing that there is bigger levels out there? And I'm not saying he's going to get 765 million, and I'm not saying 500 million is a small amount of cash. But Chev, if you were in his shoes, would you have not at least been tempted to go to the offseason?
Well, they say this is the largest extension ever signed in Major League Baseball history, and the third largest contract there. And Trey's got him up there. Juan Soto, 765 million. Shohei Ohtani, 700 million. And just underneath Vlad was Mike Trout. Mike Trout was the longest extension signed until this one.
Right.
And I mean, the guy, he said he wanted to be a Blue Jay, but he did say he would listen to other teams once those the offer didn't come in and they mishandled it. But I guess money talks, and he likes the city of Toronto. And, you know, I grew up a Vlad Guerrero Sr. fan from his days with the Montreal Expos. Hall of Famer is his dad. And, you know, he's on pace to be a Hall of Famer as well. I mean, he's been 6 years in the league, career 277 batting average, 160 home runs. Like, he's a power guy. He's what was promised, but that's a lot of money. And it's hard for me to wrap my head around baseball type money, because what is that? Over $35 million a year. Yeah. Like, you know, we just talked about Wayne Gretzky. You know, a generational type talent. Alexander Ovechkin is, you know, broke the record for goals, but not necessarily a generational talent. And he wouldn't even, like, comparatively scratch this. Like, you know, is Vladimir Guerrero one of the greatest baseball players of all time? Like this list right here: Soto, Ohtani, Guerrero, Trout, and Betts. Are these some of the greatest baseball players of all time? No. Are they just lucky to be some of the best baseball players right now?
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I mean, if you look 20 years from now, it'll be the same thing. Like, these numbers will seem small relatively, right? So, but for among his contemporaries, those are big numbers. But also, when you have a player, like, is there a better way that the Jays could have spent that 500 million? I mean, could they have invested more in starting pitching? Could they have built more depth? Would they get more of a return? But at the end of the day, if this is what's going to ignite the country and ignite the fans, when you have one pro team in Canada, that's a lot of jerseys. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of kids wearing that jersey, a lot of kids at a lot of ballparks, emulating his swing, everything about him. I mean, so it's sort of a big buzz thing. I'm not sure that it's the answer to winning games unless you open your wallet for some more depth and really address pitching. But we got him, and he's here to stay. Maybe he's the new Captain Canada. I'll tell you what, if they win one World Series, he's going to be up there on the on our Mount Rushmore, along with Wayne Gretzky and Terry Fox.
But Willie, I mean, you know, we think back to '93 when the Jays won, and Joe Carter.
Yeah,
and you know, Joe Carter was the moment that defined him. Didn't define him as a great player of all time. You look back to the Toronto Raptors, NBA championship a few years ago. They traded away Kawhi Leonard right after that. Like, there was no greatness associated. The greatest Toronto Raptor, most memorable in all time. Who is it? Who did you say? Vince Carter.
Vince Neil. Or Vince Carter. Yeah,
Vince Carter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Vince Neil. He's poison, isn't he?
No, that's Brett Michaels. But
Brett Michaels. Yeah. So anyhow, you know, does this buy you a championship? Because that's all it is. Are we buying a championship? Maybe. But like you said, they got to address their needs. But I'll tell you one thing: Rogers makes some big moves between signing Vlad Guerrero Jr. for $500 million. I think they're re-upping their NHL deal, and I think that's going to cost them, if I'm not mistaken, the last time was $4 billion. It's looking like it's going to be a $7 billion deal. Somehow, those if there's losses incurred with those properties, someone's going to swallow it, and it's going to be you with your Rogers cell phone and me with my Rogers cable. Those prices are going to go up because that's how they got to pay for these guys. Or what they do is they fire their on-air talent mid-season. You know, they always do a sweeping. You always see it, right? There's like Rogers and Bell, you know, TSN and Sportsnet. They always fire all their high-paid commentators and talents, and then they hire some other guys that are younger. I guess it's like any business, but if you're investing there, they got to cut somewhere else, and it's pretty crazy. Is Trey, are you back? I mean, Trey, did you go to Augusta to make this food? Like, it's supposed to be on hand, man. Like, there he is.
Oh,
look at this.
go.
Cooking with Trey. So who we got here? Who we got here? We're waiting for you guys.
This is my boy Reagan.
How's it going, guys?
A fan of the
Reagan.
show times.
Welcome to you guys are echoing a bit. What's up? We got to turn off the speaker. We got to turn off the speaker. Turn the speaker because you guys are echoing. This is live television, folks. We are there we go. We can hear you guys.
What are we looking at here, Trey?
Oh, the very first thing we started with, it's not from Augusta, but it'll do. We got some barbecue chips.
Hold them up there.
They're known for their barbecue chips there. I don't know where they
hold them up
make
to the
them,
camera.
but we just got some kettle barbecue chips.
Respect.
Reagan
Very
is the
popular.
best wingman. Just first thing he does, doesn't hold up the bag, just dips into it. Good stuff. Good stuff, Reagan. I like how it goes.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
They're
Okay,
good.
what else
but
you guys got there?
I'm sure they're better at Augusta. So we're gonna start.
7 out of 10.
We're gonna start with the egg salad sandwich. So I slaved hard over these.
Oh, that's an important one.
I don't know. Can we get the?
Yeah, get it in there. Get it in there.
Put in
So,
there.
so what makes it? So you slaved over it. So obviously, it's more than just scrambled eggs on a piece of bread.
That looks like
what goes
scrambled
into
eggs on a
the-
piece of bread, Sheldon. Not gonna lie.
I think it's literally just eggs, mayo,
Wait,
mustard, and
wait,
smoked paprika, salt and pepper. That's
Wait, back up. How did you cook your eggs? Are those actually scrambled eggs, or did
Yeah,
you?
put it back to the camera. Put it back to the camera. I've eaten
They're
an egg
hard
salad
boiled.
sandwich.
I did hard boil them.
Okay, you did hard boil them. Okay, I was worried that you scrambled some eggs and then you
No.
mixed mayo in them. That would have been gross.
I like that.
I'm a
game, but
little
see,
bit better of a cook than that.
Okay.
He just left it. He didn't get them all ground up. He didn't mince them, so you got big chunks of egg in there,
Yeah,
which
there's
is actually good.
Yeah,
As
that's
long
good.
as the
We'll give
seasoning's
it a-
spot on.
One bite. Everybody knows the rules.
Yeah, one bite. I think these guys just wanted an excuse to eat on live camera. That's fine. Hey, last week I brought the dog on the air. That's what we do. That's what
Yeah.
we do.
So
Chat, your pop says
there's
your
a
pop
little
says
bit
it
of
looks
onion.
dry.
I was going to ask, did you mix onions in? Did you mix onions in?
no, there's no onions in the egg salad at the Masters. So
There's not, eh?
nope, it's just plain egg salad. So if you had to give it a rating out of 10, what are we giving it? I'm giving it like a 7 out of 10. It's okay.
I like 7.
It's like it's a $1.50 sandwich. So
It's very
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Hey,
And
hey, you know what?
Is that just white Wonder Bread or is that Texas toast?
Oh,
or-
I just got white bread from the grocery store.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
Hey Trey, your dad's tuning in now, and I'll tell you what: if
Rotten
there's ever a
pickles,
bit,
yeah.
if there's ever a bill that he could skip out on, this would be the one. It won't be too expensive.
it's not gonna leave me with a $100 bill from the Hitman's bar.
No, this is
Okay,
a quick
so
$10.
The next one we've got here, I'm most excited for. I haven't
Yeah,
tried.
get it nice and close. Get it nice and close. Let us see
This
this.
is called the pimento cheese sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
okay.
got
So what is that? What's in there? Is that just
Yeah,
pimento
so-
cheese? I see some colors and flakes.
it's shredded cheddar cheese, it's cream cheese, mayo, these little red chilies. I can't actually get pimentos in Canada,
yeah.
unfortunately. So we got the spicy red chilies. It's the same thing.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Trey. I've witnessed 2 of your sandwiches now. When you make a peanut butter sandwich, do you spread the peanut butter like cover the whole bread? Because it looks like you just slop the food on. You don't even worry about covering all the bread.
Like stop drinking the drink. I don't know. Did I not get it into every corner there? I'm not sure.
No, Sheldon, what do you think? Is that a proper spread or
You know, here's the thing. I've made a lot of sandwiches, and what Trey's technique is here. He's got larger chunks, and larger chunks on the outside of the bread do tend to fall off. Chev, it's a little harder to keep them on there.
I don't think there are any.
Maybe a little
don't-
bit more mayonnaise as a binder would have kept it on there a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll give presentation 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
If you
okay.
serve that to me in a restaurant, though, I want it I want to see it. If it's going to fall off, I want to see it lapped up, like falling onto the plate.
Well, they also
Pick it
wrap
up
these
afterwards.
in like the nice Masters wrap, so it wouldn't
Oh,
fall
okay.
out.
Yeah.
We'll give this a whirl, okay?
Yeah, hit it.
Cheers.
Let's see it. I'm getting hungry though.
Like Jamie just said, mayo.
Yeah. Okay, what do you guys give that one? Is your mouth burning? You okay?
It's okay.
You-
Oh.
It's got some kick.
Oh, baby.
Trey-
Did you sample the peppers before you loaded them in there by chance, or
What's that?
Holy.
did you happen to sample the peppers before you
Nope.
just liberally applied them to
I
your?
told you this first time.
We might not even have a We might not have a producer to take us to commercial. He's about to pass
Megan's
out. there.
dying, so we're gonna.
This is Reagan.
Oh my god! So this is what they call the azalea. It's their signature cocktail.
Compose yourself, son.
So we got it's vodka.
Okay.
Back to the first 10 seconds. Phenomenal.
We already finished most of it because we've had a few of these. We got some lemonade
So our producer's drunk. That's okay.
and some grenadine.
Maybe now we know why he lost. Now we
I-
know why he lost his
I squeezed
iPod,
some
his
orange
AirPods.
juice in there.
Or fresh orange juice squeezed in there.
So
This is a pretty involved cocktail.
it's got a nice color to it. It looks like it's supposed to look
Yeah, it
like
looks
a
good.
pink azalea. So
Yeah.
I think he needs it more than me. So that's why I'm going to drink it first.
There you go. My hat's off to you on that one, because I think when I was in your age in college, it was all about kegs and shooters. So that's a pretty refined drink for you two there. That's
their goal.
for me, I think that presents the best. I'm so curious. I'm dying to try that pimento cheese sandwich.
It's really good. It's got
It
is good. So for our last one, we got dessert.
like Sue said.
So we don't really have peaches in here, like you said. So I went to the store and bought golden Oreos, and I took some ice cream, and I just sandwiched it in between and put it in
Oh.
for a bit.
There you go.
There you go.
It's not perfect, but it'll cool your mouth off. So there you go.
Yeah. A little peach
What do we
extract
give-
if you can get your hands on it.
We haven't given anything a rating yet since the
Okay,
takes
we
off.
gave the egg a 7. I'd give despite the flaming nostrils, I'd give it a 7.5.
I think it's better. I think it's like an 8 for me.
Yeah.
I like the drink. I think the drink's total 10.
Drinks at least a 9.
Yeah, it's so
I think
good.
I think it's a 9.
But we'll give this a whirl.
Yeah,
I'm
give it
sure
cheers. There you
there's-
go. I like that you cheersed it.
Right on.
What's the good stuff?
That's a 10. It's perfect. We're gonna clean this up, and
That's a great cool down.
we'll come back. Yeah, we'll
Great
come back
cool down.
after the break here. So I'm
So-
glad
so-
you guys got to see my spread here, though.
Yeah,
I
no, I
think-
love it. I love it. I actually think it's fantastic. This is a great new segment for us, Cookie with Trey. How to make
We got another
make-
one of my buddies. He's having sandwiches. We need to go to break. Okay, I'm putting on commercial.
You got it.
We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in a minute. Okay.
We'll see
Yeah.
you guys all on the other side. That was awesome.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Do you want your business to be known? YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Welcome back to the ride with Chevy and Nasty and Trey and roommates. Trey, great job on the food segment. You're still crushing those white Oreos with ice cream. I wish I had one of those. I got hungry watching you guys, especially that pimento sandwich. I love a good hot spicy sandwich, and I could tell that you were suffering. So that was
it was so good. As soon as it kicked in, it was like, oh, game on.
What kind of peppers were those? What kind of peppers were those?
They're just like spicy red chilies, but I looked at the package and they were 5 out of 5 on the spice level. So
perfect. Mom says she promises that she taught you how to cook, but apparently you forgot to pay attention. But folks, welcome back to the ride with Chevy and Nasty and producer Trey joining us. We're brought to you each week by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. And that's all the socials. You can find us at Chevy and Nasty. You know we're there. And you can also download our podcast the next day on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Listen, guys, we took it long, but we knew we would. That was a fantastic segment where Trey brought us his master snack. Quite a bit to cover here, so we're going to go quick and dirty. We're going to start off with a little bit of news out of the CFL. We'll start on the global CFL. New commissioner Stuart Johnson, named 15th commissioner of the CFL. He was brought in. He was the president of TSN. He oversaw the $50 million a year agreement between TSN and the CFL. His mandate is to grow the game, enhance the fan experience, and make some money. Sheldon, you're Mr. Stuart Johnson. Your first order of business, what are you looking towards?
Streaming platforms, social media, which I will say the CFL has been doing a better job of. Like right from the combines, right now I'm seeing a lot more stuff showing up on my socials. I think that's a good first step. He's got a huge job in front of him.
Is there, let me ask you this. Is there a bit of a, we just talked about Rodgers spending, $500 million on players and $7 billion on hockey properties. Is there a bit of a conflict of interest here, being that this guy was the former head of TSN? So it kind of locks the CFL in bed with TSN, or do we see some growth out of this?
And that's kind of my fear. It feels like kind of a meh move. He's a name. He did some big things. He's a young guy. I don't know enough about the guy to make a prediction yet, but I do know that I'll believe my eyes, and I have seen the CFL make a bigger effort on their social media, which I think is a great thing. I get all these what's his name, the punt returner, kick returner for Toronto Argonauts. I see 5 of his returns for touchdowns every day, and it's starting to get me a little bit excited about the season. And they have these great Canadian receivers, the best catches by a Canadian receiver. So it's starting to appeal to me on my socials, and that's something that the CFL was sorely lacking. If that's Stuart Johnson's, if he has any part in playing that, he's off to the right start. In terms of being too tied in with TSN, that's always the risk, right? Because I think what the CFL needs right now is a disruptor, and not somebody that comes up with like crazy ideas like, let's grow our game in Europe, because that's not going to work, right? We need things that are practical. So far, I like what I'm seeing. We're just going to have to see if he has got the ability and the budget to pull it off. I don't care if it's just on TSN or focusing on TSN, as long as they do a better job of getting it out to the public.
Well, I tell you, you talk about excitement and you talk about doing practical things to grow the game. And, if we bring it locally this week, Calgary Stampeders, basically for the same game, made 2 major announcements. We're talking about the game that had already been announced, a game during Stampede, which is unprecedented. I don't think they've ever played a game during Stampede week, because for all the years that you and I played, the Stampeders would always be on the road. Always on the road, just to not conflict with the Stampede, the parties and all that. This year they decided, you know what? Let's be part of the Stampede. Take it a step further. They make it the Stampede Bowl between Stampeders, July 3rd, between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Stamps. Both presidents put $10,000 on the line. I love this. It's a showdown. Whoever loses donates $10,000 to Pure Later Tackle Hunger. And then on top of it, they just announced Brett Michaels of Poison will be the halftime show. We talked about that last year. Bring
in a guy that I would actually go just to see him.
And remember last year? Yeah. I was going to say last year
is,
they go. Sorry, you go.
well, and this is a name that I'd love to see. I know this might not appeal to the kids, right? But I was
It appeals to me. Don't worry.
say that again.
It appeals to me. Don't worry.
Yeah, there you go. It was a huge listen on AM radio in northern Saskatchewan. I love Poison. He still looks good. He looks better than he did when. Remember, he had that reality show where he finds love and he's meeting all these girls. And back then he was looking kind of sleazy, putting on some weight. Dude, the guy looks good. He still sounds good. I will go there to hear him play Poison songs from the late 80s, early 90s for sure.
I saw them play a couple of years ago before COVID with Def Leppard when they were on tour. They're fantastic, put on a great show. But last year, one of my biggest complaints is, you go to the Stampeders game. I believe it wasn't the Labor Day game, one of the games, and they had this act called Dwayne Gretzky playing bad cover bands, and then it cover songs. And then I went a little further down. I believe it was the Labor Day game, and it was another like just cheap cover band. And it's like people don't want to hear crappy music. And I know it's hard in the CFL to make a big splash because acts cost a lot, but this is an act that fits right in with Stampede. It's a big name. There's people coming from all over the world that they might not attract the little kids in Calgary, but people coming to Stampede might say, hey, wait a second. You mean to tell me I could go tailgate? You mean to tell me I could go watch football? And you mean to tell me I can see this really fantastic act? I'm in. And I think that's what they're banking on. I'm going to be in. I'm going to go watch that game just because of this. I want to feel that electricity during Stampede. I've never seen it before, so I'm definitely in for this.
Picture this. You're in Australia for a massive music festival. You're there for the week, and they combine this thing with Aussie rules football to experience the authentic experience while you're there. It's going to be massive. This will help draw in the Americans. I think the biggest mistake the Stamps have made over the last 50 years is not holding an event during the Stampede. You have an extra 1 million people walking through the city during that week, and you're not going to introduce them to your game. I think this was a brilliant move by the Stampeders. Maybe it's ballsy. I don't even think it's ballsy. I just think it's smart. You've got 1 million extra people in the city. Get them down to the stadium. Throw an awesome event. I hope they open up tailgating, have a lot of stuff going on that guys like us can enjoy, our kids can enjoy, teens can enjoy. Just make it a spectacle.
Yeah, great job by. Sorry, I was just gonna say, great job by Jay McNeil and his team.
Yeah.
It's been Jay McNeil, a couple of years in. We had him at our men's mental health movie night. He came out. He's thinking about coming out this year if he can wrap it in his schedule. He's done some great grassroots level outreach to the community, but he's also made a big splash. And I think, I wish this is the thing that puts us back on the map.
This is smart.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
I don't know how this hasn't been thought of earlier. Maybe it has and hasn't come to fruition, but like this is genius. Like having so many tourists in town and having this the Stampede Bowl with this act. Like I can only see this growing, and like you might get like a serious artist come and do this in a couple years.
Yeah, and even if you are a season ticket holder and you're one of those that leave Calgary for the Stampede, there will be a market for resale the tickets. And in fact, I encourage you right now, if you guys are still going to get out of town, if that's your thing to get out of town during Stampede, get the tickets out there. Let more people experience this. I'm going to guess it's going to be a sold out show.
Yep. Yeah, I know a lot of people that won't go to the grounds, but they'll go to this. So that's cool. Let's keep this train moving. Trey, we got to queue up the studs and duds. Let's queue that up.
Studs and duds.
Sheldon, you want to start?
Yeah, start with studs.
Yeah.
I think you stole my stud. You didn't really steal it because I didn't put it public, so I think you got it. So I'm going to pivot in a different direction. My brother last night in Edmonton went to see, it wasn't Brett Michaels, but it fascinates me that politicians are now drawing these big crowds and big events. Pierre Poilievre was in Edmonton last night, and they had to change the venue a couple of times. They ended up getting 17,000 people from Alberta into a political rally, Chev, a political rally. Has there been a politician in Canada that got you this excited? I think Trudeau on the left. I think Trudeau, when he first ran in 2015, had that rock star status.
Oh yeah, for sure he did.
In my mind, that 17,000 people showed up to hear what he had to say. It looked like they were having fun. They sang "Oh Canada." They sang the old lyrics to "Oh Canada."
Yep.
But you know, I don't know. There's something about seeing that on my socials. Maybe kind of wish like maybe I should go check out a rally. It looked like fun.
Well, you know what? I think it's great because the more people that are aware of what's going on, you know, one of the big challenges now, they say even with the youth, is getting people out to vote. So the more that these events are happening, the more that people are making noise, whether it's, you know, right or left or liberal or conservative or whatever you fall, the more people voting, the better it is, because then you can say that the numbers are there to show that democracy is working. It stops working when people don't show up, or like what happens in a lot of our municipal elections, people just have apathy, right? And someone wins just by virtue of the fact that nobody else shows up. So I believe that events like this are good, whether you agree with politics or not of the people. I think it's great, and I have not seen.
Yeah. These people aren't excited because of the brand. They're excited because of what he said. And it's the same thing, right, left, center, whatever. If you have somebody that gets you excited and gets you engaged, that is a good thing. Not everybody's going to agree, right? There's
absolutely.
That loved it are going to hate it, and that's fine too. But
there's a lot.
To see something that big.
Yeah, and there's a lot of excitement, and I don't mean like positive excitement. I mean a lot of excitement, anxiety, uncertainty around this election, and people are getting involved. In fact, my own son is going to be working for Elections Canada, and they say the hardest thing is to engage the youth to vote. They say if they don't vote in their first election, they may not vote in any election. So and I was fearful, like, oh, you know, will my son vote? But one of the best ways to get kids engaged is to have them go out and work. And you know, he's going to be doing the polling stations and stuff, and that'll kind of get him engaged in democracy and truly seeing what's going on. So I think it's great. My stud, Sheldon, is the U12 Premier Academy Rockets cheer team that traveled to nationals in Niagara Falls this week. You know, the reason I had a dog on the air last week, little Callie on the air, was because Brittany took her daughter to nationals, and this little team, U12 team from Premier Academy in Red Deer, won the whole darn thing for U12. And not only
the Canadians, the nationals.
So they won the nationals. They won the nationals for their age group. And then the way it is in cheers, once they get through the nationals of all the different age groups, they do a competition almost like a Champions League that all the best teams in Canada, doesn't matter your age group, are scored against each other. So you have a U12 team versus a U18 versus U14. They placed third. This is the first time that Premier Academy, which has they have academies in different cities all over Alberta. This is the first time they've won anything. So they went there and they just had a kick-ass weekend. So Colin Stratichuk, I am so proud of you and the girls and the Rockets. You represented your cheer club, your cheer gym fantastically, and your city fantastically. Great job to the Rockets. So they're my stud of the week.
There you go.
Duds, go ahead.
Do you want my dud? First off, I was going to say my actual stud I was planning to do was, do you hear that they cloned dire wolves that have been for 10 years, these massive wolf animals? I don't know if it's my stud, but it's also a little bit scary. But my dud this week, guys, Indigo parking. Like we all hate getting tickets. You hate it when you see that light flash, and we don't have them in Alberta anymore for much longer. But I get it. If I'm going 80 in a 60 zone, if I'm going 40 in a 30 zone in a school zone, I'm going to get a ticket. I'm fine with that. But yesterday during my shoots, I went out to this little suburban condo in Sage Hill, Northwest Calgary, and I see this massive visitor parking section. There's one other vehicle there, and I'm like, oh, thank God, it's easy to park. I park there. I come out an hour later after my shoot. I've got this ticket from Indigo Parking for $75. Jeff, this was free parking. It was a free parking zone, but you had to use the app to register your license plate and all that. But I just thought in my mind, I'm going to be in and out. It's not a big deal. There's nobody here. $75. You know how I just referenced that? I understand parking tickets, it helps go fund the police department and all those things. This is $75 that does no good. It didn't help the condo board. It didn't help the people living there because they all have their assigned spots. It didn't help the visitors because there was no visitors. This was purely a license to drain money out of the economy. And in this time when we have inflation, we have unnecessary spending, we have goofballs running the system. So money just goes out of every pocket for every Canadian taxpayer. And now they're finding you $75 for parking in free parking. Just because
can you fight it? Like, because I mean, the assumption is you have a cell phone.
Can you fight it? So here's what I found out. This is the best part of the story. So I called them twice yesterday. It was on hold for 30 minutes before just getting rejected. Then today I was doing some shoots with some property managers, and they just laughed. They said, "Oh yeah, that's Indigo. It's a private company. Did you sign a contract with them?" I'm like, "No." Well, they actually have no say. I said, "No." When I was starting in Calgary, I got sent to collections. It goes, that collections will never show up on your credit rating. It'll never show up. You do not have to pay these guys. And then they told me that when they were in Toronto, his team ran up over $90,000 in parking tickets over 10 years, just because they thought it was funny. Because they had to run in and out of buildings all the time, and the parking managers would always ticket them. They might be able to tow you off the property. They can't send you to impound because that's city. They can just tow you off to the street. That's all.
Let me ask you. So let me ask you: are you going to pay the ticket?
Hell no, no one. I wrote it off at first. I was like, okay, $75 less, and I guess I got to use the app. Only suckers pay guys like Indigo, especially in suburban condo. It is free visitor parking.
It's like if you picked up the phone and there was a scammer on the other side and you just agreed to go along with it. Like, these people are a joke. My buddy Dylan, who I live with now, got us a $110 ticket for parking downtown with these same Indigo people, and I told him I would have wiped my ass with it. Like, it's such a scam these days.
It's a scam. It's Fair enough. Scam. They're leeching off of taxpayers in hard times in this country. They seem legitimate. They are not.
Well, fair enough. I'm going to go with my dud. Sheldon, you brought it up before. Scientists at Colossal Biosciences have successfully bred 3 genetically engineered dire wolf pups. Now, at first, when I saw the headline, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I thought about it. I was like, holy crap, that's scary. Like, has anybody watched Jurassic Park? Like, if they found primordial goo DNA from a dire wolf from hundreds of thousands of years ago and they brought it back to life, what if someone decides to do that with a T-Rex? What if I don't know. The dire wolves are being housed in a secret U.S. reserve. It's scary. It is like, do we not learn from our stupidity? So this is what's going to happen. We made a country song and a poem song with AI. Trey made that nice logo, I believe, with AI. We do some things with AI. In 20 years, we'll be obsolete. In 20 years, AI is going to be finding a way to genetically engineer animals to kill humans and tame those animals. We're done. We're done. We're done. We you know what? You know what? You look at science fiction and it's all these catastrophic level 7 events that will take humankind off the face of the earth. The humankind is going to take humankind off the earth. We are creating our own means of obsolescence. I just saw the other day, I sent to Daryl, who's a great cowboy. I saw the robotic horse from Kawasaki. Pretty soon we're going to have the AI horse rodeo and bull riding competition. We're doomed. The best we can do is just hang on for the ride as long as we're here and hope that, you know what, it's still going when our kids are here. That's all I could think.
When you're a kid, bringing back dinosaurs was cool. Yeah. If they could inventing robots and flying cars was cool. But literally in 2025, the dire wolf has returned to the planet. They say they're getting close to the woolly mammoth, and Elon Musk has got those Tesla Optimus robots that he plans to have in every home. Dude, the next 20 years are wide open. This could either be the greatest time to be alive, or like you said, we are just signing our own extinction warrants.
We're done.
And I guess we just got to survive another 20 years to see which one it's going to be.
We're done. Yeah. Well, speaking of extinct, a couple of weeks ago, Hudson Bay company filed for bankruptcy, and I believe that they're clearing out and liquidating all their stores. But another Canadian company was made the news recently. Mike Myers, who's been back in the limelight on Saturday Night Live, playing Elon Musk in a comedic fashion on Saturday Night Live, was seen at the closing credits wearing a Canadian Tire T-shirt this week. A few weeks ago, he had the Elbows Up Canada T-shirt. This week, Canadian Tire, and as something on social media goes. It ignited a bit of a firestorm. Now, a lot of people praising Mike Myers for his use of the T-shirt because it represents Canadiana. But then there's that portion of the internet that just hates everything and decide to say, Canadian Tire's worst store ever, always gets the worst ratings, blah, 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 blah. Sheldon, talking about great Canadian stuff that we started doing a few weeks ago. Canadian Tire. Is this a great retail chain for you? Is this one of your favorite Canadian stores? Where does it rank for you? We can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
So it might not be the greatest store in the world, and it might not have the best customer service record out there. But I'll tell you what, Canadian Tire is an institution that you grew up with. You could order things from a catalog. You could get anything from your first baseball glove to your first set of tires on your used vehicle. You could walk out of there with Canadian Tire money, which was, that's another legendary part of growing up Canadian, is knowing what, that monopoly money is something you can actually use in the real world.
Yep.
I like Canadian Tire. I'm proud of that store. And it's horrible at times, but it gets you everything that you need. And maybe that's the hallmark of a great Canadian company. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the neat thing about Canadian Tire is that every store is owner operated. So you got local people that own the stores. So, it's not a big corporate chain. It's a franchise kind of model, but every store is owned locally. But like you said, I remember that Canadian Tire catalog in the old days with the Sears catalog, that was a big thing when it came in the mail. The wish list. And I don't know if Trey's probably too young to remember, but the commercial about the bicycle, the red bicycle, that was classic Canadiana. And in those days, in the 80s, the only place you could buy hockey equipment, skates, and get your skates sharpened was Canadian Tire, while Dad was going to buy a part for the car. Nowadays, you got the Napa Auto Parts for hockey. You got, the Pro Hockey Life and the Adrenaline Source for sports and all that. This time, all these specialized stores. Back in the 80s, into the 90s, Canadian Tire was it. That was your store. Walmart came to Canada, in the 90s? Before that, it was either the big department stores, like you say, Hudson Bay, Eaton, Sears, or Canadian Tire. There was nothing else. So there's generations of us that grew up on that store. And when I think about it representing Canada, I think it does. Yeah, it's evolved. They've evolved into a financial institution now with their triangle rewards and all that. But at the core, when I think about Canadian Tire, I think of a great store. It's nationwide. And it is a bit of a symbol of Canada for me. And don't knock it. There's few things that we have, and that's one thing. It's got Canadian, and they do, they do a lot of work with their Jumpstart program for kids. So that's another thing. That's another thing that they've got going on. It is surprising to me that
they're no PV Mart.
Yeah, they're no PV
They're no
Mart.
PV Mart, but they're bigger. Anybody growing up in Western Canada, I don't even know if they had PV Marts out in Ontario and Quebec.
Yeah.
But, if you're too small of a town for Canadian Tire, you definitely had a PV Mart, and it was actually nice because you got some different brands with it too. So I like the Canadian general stores holding on, and yes, I'm still proud to say that Canadian Tire is Canadian owned.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. A few years ago when I was doing sales for Gorilla Covers, and that's our buddy Kevin who won the big prize pack last year at our men's mental health movie night. I used to work for his company, and my portfolio was Canadian Tires, and that's how I found out that they're all owner operated. And really, the stock that they keep in every Canadian Tire, it's to the owner's discretion. They have a catalog that they can ship, they can purchase, like basically Canadian Tire approved products, but they can go off script. So it's not like McDonald's where you only get Big Mac. So the neat thing about Canadian Tires is, like, when we were selling our CFL licensed products, you had to sell to every store. And in Calgary, at the time, and this would have been 2011, it was right before I got into real estate with you. Canadian Tires in Calgary, Saskatchewan Roughriders gear outsold Stampeders gear 4-1. So they would have more Riders gear in Calgary than Stamps gear because it sold more. That's just the way it was.
That's crazy. I mean, I think I still see it. Like, I don't know if it's 4-1, but like, I'm still a Riders fan, and I still see Riders hats and hoodies and people. And when I see them, I always give them a what's up and a high five or whatever. So it's believable, I think. But
it was huge. It was absolutely
4-1.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, the numbers, like, and the orders that would come in for Riders stuff versus Stampeder stuff and how they would display them. It was, Canadian Tire is a unique store. I appreciate it. I think we'll move on from that. We had a great show tonight. We went a little long, but you know what? We had a very unique segment where Trey and his buds showed us the Masters food. We had some great poetry. We had some great stories. Sheldon, you did a fantastic job. Trey's still crushing his sandwich. Trey, you did an awesome job with the graphics and everything. Sheldon, I'm going to give the last word to you to take us home. And Trey, are we playing the rap today, or do we have the rap, or is that done?
We have the Augusta theme.
Okay. Instead. Well, let Sheldon wrap it up. Guys, thanks so much.
We'll get the wrap for the end of next week.
Guys, I got not much to add to that one, Chev. Guys, just for those of you guys that stuck it out till the end, we really appreciate you. This show has always been about just getting the guys together, no matter what's going on around the world. And there was a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. And we learned a lot about Trey and his tolerance for spicy foods. And I'm kind of looking forward to see where that segment goes in the future. But once again, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great week, and we'll see you all back here next week on The Ride.
Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I said, Georgia, Georgia,